Managing a small team or business comes with a unique set of challenges. With limited resources and manpower, it's easy for things to feel chaotic and out of your control. How can you, as a leader, accomplish your goals while keeping your team engaged, effective, and accountable? This podcast will give you practical strategies you can implement now to lead your team or business to reach its fullest potential. Welcome to the Organizing Chaos podcast with your host, Danny Coleman.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Organizing Chaos, where we discuss small practical strategies for small teams and small businesses. And I am continuing my series on meetings. Everyone loves meetings. That's what I should have named the series. Everyone loves meetings. There are 3 meetings that I believe are essential to your small team or small business functioning properly. These regular communication checkpoints where people can speak to each other and be open and candid, and you can grow trust and honesty, and people can just be prepared to speak and focused on the act of communicating rather than just trying to communicate in the hustle and bustle of what it means to kind of keep a small team or small business going. So this is part 2 in that series, or I guess maybe part 3 if you include the kind of the preparatory or overview episode that I did. So last episode was about the meetings between the visionary and integrator, or the owner and their general manager, and that would be called I call that either the same page or VI, Vision Integrator Meeting. And so if you've not heard that one already, go ahead and check that one out. But you may be you may be an owner who has not yet hired a general manager. Maybe your team is still smaller, or you've just not relinquished that responsibility of running the day-to-day operations of your business. You've not relinquished that yet to a manager. That's okay. If you're not there yet, I strongly suggest that you get there as soon as you're able to. But I realize that there's an in-between phase, and I'm actually in that phase myself right now. So basically this meeting type is something that you need to be having no matter what. If you have any employees whatsoever, you need to be having one-on-one meetings with them. And I'm going to dive into what those really look like right now. So kind of just an overview of these one-on-one meetings are exactly that. It's you and the employee one-on-one. You're not with the team or around the team. They cannot hear what you're saying. This is an opportunity for you to invite them to be open and honest with you, for you to get to understand them better, what their goals are, what they want to accomplish, what they're frustrated by, what they like to do in your business. I mean, it's really just, almost like going on a date, but obviously not in the least bit romantic. This is very practical. And so what you want to do, though, is have this dedicated time with your employees or with whoever it is you're managing, right? If you're the owner, you don't need to be doing this if you have a manager in between y'all. But if you're the manager, you need to be doing this with your direct report. So whoever it is you're managing, you need to be having these one-on-one meetings with them regularly. Now, the frequency is going to be up to you. Weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, those are your options. Really, I mean, there's no need to be any more frequently than weekly. And I don't think that's a problem for anyone. I'm sure everyone doesn't even want to do that. But monthly, anything further out, like bi-monthly, like every other month, that's not going to cut it. That's too much time in between these check-ins. So monthly is the longest amount of, or the biggest frequency, I guess, that you'd want to be okay with on these. So without further ado, kind of jump right into what one of these meetings look like. So you start off by establishing your objectives and getting their buy-in and agreement to discuss those things. So objectives are going to be like, all right, we need to talk about, your roles and responsibilities are going to be changing, or I wanted to see if you're interested in doing, some new thing, or maybe they've added some objectives as well. So you want to make sure that you guys both have the opportunity to build the agenda together. So I really recommend having some type of a document where they can go. I'm a big fan of Google Docs. I don't even, I know that there's other options out there, but I think it's super easy to use and it's great. But you have I would suggest some type of cloud-based document that you both can have access to, so that as you realize things that you need to speak with them the next time you guys have a meeting, they can also be doing the same thing, thinking of those things that they want to talk about with you next time you have a meeting. And you guys can kind of put those objectives kind of into like a loading place or whatever, just to kind of make sure that like you both realize these are things I want to talk about next time we meet. And so what you guys want to do is get clear on those objectives. So this usually requires a little bit of preparation beforehand. So if you're the person who's emceeing the meeting, you're the manager, you should kind of make sure that you know like what the most important things are for you in terms of priority. because you want to make sure you discuss the things that are most important first. That way, if you run out of time, you can push those off to the next meeting. And then also consider if they have put some things on that agenda, then you want to make sure that you consider that and then ask that first thing when you first start having your meeting, like, hey, okay, here's what I want to discuss. I see that you had some stuff here. Let's get to, what basically, kind of give me maybe like a 1 minute overview of what your things are so that we can kind of figure out what we need to make sure we talk about in this, half hour long period of time. And so that's the first thing. So clarify your agenda so you guys are both on the same page about what you're going to be discussing and what needs to be discussed by the end of the call. The next thing you want to do is review their current work. So if you've given them certain responsibilities or they're working on a certain project or something like that, check in with them. Ask them how things are going. If they're not meeting deadlines or if they're not kind of at the point where they should be, or maybe they're not doing well in their daily job duties, and this was going to be the time for you to say, hey, so we've been having some issues with you coming in late. Open time is at 10. You're supposed to be here no later than 9:45. Is there something that we can do to help make sure that you are here at 9:45, ready and prepared for your shift? And you can talk about things like that. So this is a good time to kind of talk about how they're doing in terms of like the execution of their job tasks. So this is very much about what they do, not about them personally, which we'll get to later. So in this area of the meeting, you're talking about how are they accomplishing their job? Are they doing it? Are they meeting expectations? And is there anything that you as a manager can do to support them to help them better execute what they need to execute? So hopefully that makes sense. The next thing you want to move on is to identifying and then resolving development issues. And development issues are going to be where it gets a little bit more personal. So you want to ask them like how they feel about working for your business, or how do they feel working with you? Are they happy? Or what are their goals? Do they have any goals that they've set for themselves? Do you know what those goals are as a manager? If you should find out what those goals are and find a way to match their goals up with the company goals, right? So there may be something that you want to see. Maybe there's a certain sales goal that they play a large role in, in making sure it gets hit. You can incentivize them by, learning, you want to pay off, a credit card, you got $500 on a credit card. Okay, cool. Well, I think that we can maybe work something out so that if you hit this goal by this date, we'll write you a check to pay off that credit card. If you something like that. I mean, you can get creative, and that's a cool thing about being a small business. You can do stuff like that. You can learn what it is that they want to do specifically and help them accomplish that. And that's going to help them develop as a person, and it's going to help them also like have a lot more buy-in on the tasks that they're completing for you. So that's kind of what this development issues is. But it's also a point where to talk about stuff going on at home that's affecting your work here. If they've had some breakdowns at work. They've kind of burst into tears or something like that. This is a time for you to kind of check in and be like, hey, so how are things going? And that's what you really just want to kind of hear how things are going for them as a person here. So the difference between reviewing current work and then identifying, resolving personal development issues, that's the difference right there. Just one is work related. One's more, here's the things that you need to be doing as an employee. Here's how well you're doing. You're doing a great job. You're not doing a good enough job. Let's figure out how we can get you to where we need you to be at. And the next part is to kind of be like, all right, well, let's kind of drop the work a little bit and talk a little bit about how you're doing as a person and what is it that we can help you do to grow as a person. This may sound really feelsy and kind of like, too much blending of personal and business, for you. And if that's the case, you probably don't want to be listening to my podcast because I don't really believe that there's that big of a separation between your personal life and your business life, especially when you're a small business. Like I don't even know how you can have a separation really between your personal life and your business life. Now, obviously, there's certain things that are appropriate and certain things that aren't. And that obviously needs to be clear. But there's a big difference between, these are people that you're working with. And like I've said before, you're going to spend more time with a lot of your employees or your team than you are your family in many cases. So you should get to know them as a person. You should not be afraid to get to know them as a person. And if they're afraid of getting to know you as a person, then maybe you guys aren't the right fit. If you guys aren't going to be a good fit as terms of two humans, who could get along, outside of work, you're not going to get along inside of work. It's kind of like deciding to get married to somebody. And even though you guys fight all the time, well, like, oh, we'll get married and then we'll stop fighting. That's not how it works. It's, if you're fighting, anyways, I don't need to go off on a tangent on this, but that's kind of what this is about. So if you feel like some of these questions may be getting like too feelsy or too personal or whatever between an employee and you, again, I'm not talking about appropriate versus inappropriate. I'm talking about getting to know them as a person. And if you don't feel comfortable with getting to know them as a person, you're going to have a lot of difficulty connecting with them and getting them to do the things that you need them to do. So anyways, I digress. Small soapbox there. Number 4 is miscellaneous. Yes, that's right. We should have a spot in every meeting for the stuff that you just can't figure out where it fits. Especially with small business, there's going to be the random things that come up that are like that. You could probably get them into one of the other categories if you thought long and hard about it, but that's not necessary. You don't want to make this meeting so rigid that you can't just be able to get to a point where you discuss something that you're not really sure where it fits. So that's what that miscellaneous part's for. There's no real rules about it. It's just there as a catch-all for the things that are going to just come up because small business is that way. And lastly, this is, I won't say the most important. This is just a very, very critical part, but confirming takeaways and agreements at the end of your meeting. So you as the manager, the onus is on you to be like, okay, so we talked about this and you're going to do that. We talked about ABC and you're going to do XYZ. Okay. Right. You told me that you needed XYZ. So I'm going to make sure that I'm getting you, ABC by no later than, next Friday. And then you said that you'll be able to meet these objectives by this time and we'll check in, kind of periodically throughout between now and that deadline. Agreed? Yes. Agreed. That's it. That's the golden thing that you want just from these meetings, is that at the end of the meeting, you're able to end it with the commitments and agreements and actionable takeaways that you guys have created during this time communicating together. And that's what allows you to then go out and then come back. And then there's accountability. Hey, did you get those things done? No, I didn't. You told me you would. Like what happened? And then it allows you to have the kind of conversations that will get closer and closer to, if you have real issues, don't be afraid if they don't get solved in this 1/2 hour or hour-long meeting, however long you decide to do it. But what this accountability will do, the structure is going to, so what the structure will do is create accountability. And that accountability will allow you to continue to have the conversations that move you closer and closer towards developing an employee, developing a real rock star, getting a real diamond out of a piece of coal. It's going to help you really explode your business. It's going to help you understand the problems that are in your business and getting clear and honest communication back from employees to tell you what things need to get fixed. So anyways, I hope that this was helpful for you guys. I don't even know. Hopefully, if you're watching on YouTube, you're able to even read all this. If you have any kind of questions about this type of meeting, or if you would like, I am kind of working on some templates and things like that to be able to be more easily digitally distributed. But you can always just shoot me an email, danny@dannycoleman.me. I'd be happy to email you some of the stuff that I do have put together right now. If you are interested in kind of getting this template or outline for these meetings, so that you can have good communication with your direct reports. So anyways, hope that this resonated with you. Hope you found it helpful. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all that fancy jazz. Please leave me a review on iTunes or Stitcher if you are so inclined. And please give me all your feedback at the email I mentioned earlier, danny@dannycoleman.me. I'd like to know if you guys think I'm wrong, if you guys think I'm right, if you think I can help you, please let me know. Or if you have a topic idea you'd like to hear me dish out on the show, please let me know. And if you are interested in being interviewed, if you're a small business owner or a small team manager, I would love to interview you. I am kind of starting to build my list of people who I want to do some interviews with. And so if you'd like to be on that list, please let me know. You can follow me and get in touch with me kind of socially on Instagram and Twitter down here. I don't really do much on Twitter, but Instagram and Twitter have the same name. So I just figured I'd tell you to check me out on both. I am Danny Coleman on both Twitter and Instagram. Hope you guys are doing well and have an excellent rest of your day. Thanks.
Want more? Go to dannycoleman.me to download Danny's free small business hiring guide, which includes tips, templates, and tools, plus a step-by-step process you can use to find and keep high-quality employees for your small team or business.